Thank you for listening. If you want to know more about us and our services, please visit our website at www.wsk9co.com.
Today we're going to talk about a fascinating topic, and it's maybe a word that's very taboo, but the word that we're going to kind of talk about is killing. And the reason why we're going to talk about that is it just recently was asked a question and asked if I would talk to some neighbors of a previous client because their dog continues to kill chickens. And they're in a rural part of Nevada. And what happens in these small towns when dogs go on a killing spree of anything from killing the neighbor's cat to, chasing cattle to, killing the chickens, is that they actually have a right to kill your dog. They can shoot them. And so this family took their spaniel, and because he's been on a town killing spree of chickens, they heard that if they take the dead chicken and tie it to the dog's neck, that it will stop the dog from killing the chickens. And so, she sent over a picture of the dog with his cone on, with the chicken tied around underneath his neck. And so obviously, being a former client of mine, she's like, can you maybe help them? Does this really work? And so, they ended up declining talking with me. And I'm not sure if the chicken is still tied around the dog's neck. But it is something that when I grew up and started training, that was really the philosophy. Like, oh, your dog kills chickens, then tie a dead chicken around its neck. And crazy enough, that was even my dad's solution to some of our dogs growing up is, well, you just tie the dead things around their neck and they stop doing it. And so, again, that was kind of the trigger to part of my life becoming a dog trainer is, man, it has to make sense. And I don't know that makes sense to a dog. But, does it work? Man, if it does, that would be fascinating. But it really doesn't. And so when you hear that, Michelle, what comes to mind? What do you think is going through the dog's mind? Like, talk to me a little bit about your thoughts on that.
Oh, man, my first thought was people are crazy because how would that work? I really thought my dogs would just eat it. They eat raw chicken. They would eat it.
Yeah.
Like, if it was tied to their neck anywhere they could get to it, wouldn't they? That was my first reaction was...
Yeah, I think that's why they put the cone on the head, because it kind of kept the chicken tucked under their chin, because that's where it was tied. I don't know.
Interesting.
Yeah. I've never tried it, so I don't know if the dogs will eat it or not.
That was really my first reaction was the dog is just... I mean, even if you feed the dog, it's just going to want to eat it. I don't understand how that would... I would think it would make it more crazy for chickens, but I don't know. I really have no idea.
Melissa, what's your thoughts, and where do you feel like the mind of the dog would go?
I don't think there would be any association with the chicken around its neck and killing. There are two different pictures. That's two different things for the dog.
Yep.
The dog is probably more just confused why there's this chicken that he wants to get around his neck.
Right.
But there's no rhyme or reason to it at all.
Yeah. When, there's another philosophy in the thought process goes like this, and this is very true to dogs in general, and I've had a couple clients that the dogs are like that, is if they're true hunters, if they're kind of gnarly dogs, not mean and aggressive like they can't be in society, but if they're just kind of gross, gnarly dogs, and I had one growing up that was like this, that if they go roll in something gross smelling, so whether it's another, dog's poop or even their own poop to dead things, just gross things, rotten fruit, they'll go roll in. And the reason why they do that is to cover up their own smell so that they can be better hunters. So then, they're going to smell dead something. They're going to smell like something else so then I can get closer to my prey. And so, so what's going through my head, from the get-go, from early on, because that was my first dog, that he would go out and roll in gross things, and he would come back, and back then, dogs kind of just roamed and stayed around your house kind of thing. It was not something that we had to keep our dogs contained in the yard, and I didn't live in the country. I lived in Taylorsville. So, so I wonder if the dog just thought, oh, I just need to not smell like myself, and then I can be a better hunter. And then the other thought process is, well, I just need to be a better hunter so that I can get rid of what I'm killing before I get caught, kind of a thing. And so that was the only thing as far as thought process that I could come up with that would, how a dog would think through this process. And obviously they don't have that deep of a thought process overall, but like just that moment of, well, great, I'll stink like a chicken so I can go hunt some more chickens and they won't be afraid of me. So that was my, like, the only thought that I could come up with, that how would a dog associate this dead chicken has nothing to do with chasing and killing other animals. And Shannon, what's your thoughts on that?
I think a lot of people don't have experience with this because we live in the city, but our dogs still have those instincts to chase things and kill things, but it manifests itself as other behavioral problems. So people are dealing with those same behavioral problems. It's just that a dead chicken isn't the end result of it. Right. And a lot of dogs that we have in our house were originally bred to kill things. Terrier's job was to go and kill rats and snakes and badgers and whatever kind of things. So those kind of dogs have really strong instincts to kill. And so it would be, if you lived in a situation where they could be successful at it, it would be really hard once they're successful one time to stop them from doing it, because that's like their dog joy, their purpose of being the dog is to go and kill something. And so then once they can, and they get better and better and better at it, it would be harder and harder and harder to solve the problem.
So Michelle, how would you recommend that one solves this problem?
So I've been on both sides of this in the city. My parents, when I was younger, one of their cats got into the neighbor's yard and their dog killed our cat right in front of my mom. It was actually really awful. But we've also had dogs. We've had a dog that killed the neighbor's chickens. It was kind of rural city area. But so I've been on both sides of this. And on both sides, I really, even with the cat, I felt like it was my mom's fault. Like, our cat was so used to dogs that, right. And she knew that. My mom knew that. She was like, there was nothing I could do. It was just instinct for that dog to do that. So, and on the other way, it was my parents' fault for not controlling our dog. Mm-hmm. So I'm a true believer in you own that. Like, so you own your dog, owner, but you know what I mean? Like, you own that. You need to take care of your dog. So you need to do whatever you can to make sure it doesn't happen.
Right.
And if that means, like, if the instincts are kicking in, you give your dog something to do that will trigger that to in a good, positive way.
Right.
So that he's getting that release, such as terriers, herding dogs. A lot of people think that herding dogs, it's a herding thing, but really it's prey drive. You teach them to herd. You don't teach them to herd. Actually, it's prey drive. They will kill something when they're younger if they got the option to do it.
Right.
So even that with terriers, teaching them to herd a ball, or but it really comes down to you controlling your dog's environment and what's going on with it. And if it has access to chickens or to neighbors' cats or whatever, control that and make sure it doesn't happen.
Right. Yeah. I mean, your dog should not be running around, in a way that's I'll kind of use this twofold. Your dog in the city and in the suburbs of the city should not be roaming around from yard to yard and out and about at all. Like, period. It just shouldn't be happening. You are responsible. You are the owner of that dog, and you should be accountable for it. And dogs that live in the country, it's controllable. It's definitely something that you can. It's a work in progress. It's something you have to teach. I mean, my sister's spaniel, he has his path that he goes in and who he visits every day, and he goes to the bus stop when the bus comes into town. but he's not out killing things. And funny enough, in her household is the cats bring the dog the dead things and he gets to eat them. So the cats always give the dog the offerings of the dead things that they catch. But it's kind of this ecosystem that happens that you can control that. You can, I mean, there's cows and chickens and everything all over, these little towns, and you can control that. It's something that's very teachable, that the dog has boundaries but it does take time and it takes a lot of effort to do that. Melissa, how would you take a herding dog or a terrier, and what activities would you help create to help that dog release in a way that's genetically, that's what they're bred to do?
I would do a lot of redirection in, maybe if it's a dog that can do urban herding,
Mm-hmm.
if it's high herd prey drive, a lot of different tasks around the house. The dog is looking for a job.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that job is retrieving the newspaper. Maybe that job is shutting cupboards. Maybe that some routine to give that dog a purpose in the house.
Sure.
To redirect that drive.
Mm-hmm.
And to see whatever works for that dog. Maybe a terrier. I've heard of people putting socks under the bed and the dog will crawl under and get the socks every day.
Yep.
Or go retrieve something.
Yeah.
But that gives that dog some purpose.
Right.
In
Yeah.
that. And I grew up with a dog actually that killed chickens.
Mm-hmm.
We got this dog from the local pound. I grew up in a really rural area.
Mm-hmm.
Got this chocolate lab. Thought I was so excited. This young girl.
Yep.
She was about a year old. Second day home, she killed 2 of our chickens.
Yep.
Third day, got out and started chasing our neighbor's sheep.
Fun.
Luckily, they were nice enough to call us before he shot her.
Right.
So we had to work a lot on, she had a very strong prey drive.
Uh-huh.
Wanted to kill everything. Luckily the cats could climb up the tree.
Right.
But we had to really set boundaries with the yard, set boundaries with the field. And it was a very interesting experience. Our other lab was so docile, would just lay out in the yard, but she was completely different.
Yeah.
One day I remember going out and watching her to see what she would do with the chickens.
Uh-huh.
Because she never would just go chase them to kill them. We didn't know what triggered it.
Yeah.
She would be going to try to get their eggs.
Oh.
A chicken would flutter out.
Uh-huh.
She would
React.
react, get that chicken.
Yep.
Only the chicken that reacted when she tried to get the eggs. So I'd go out every day, I'd give her an egg, and then we taught her how to dig for gophers.
Uh-huh.
So she released on the gopher mounds. She never caught a gopher,
Right.
but she could smell them, she
Yep.
could dig, and then
Yep.
she got an egg a day.
Okay.
And that stopped the chicken killing.
Nice.
And it was a weird redirection, but
Yep. Yeah.
just being creative on whatever you have in your house
Yep.
to redirect that dog.
Yeah. Yeah. That's creative. That's cool. That's good. Shannon, what is, because all breeds have something that they were bred to do. So talk a little bit about Louis and what the Frenchies were bred to do and how you kind of redirect or help fulfill his little genetic desires.
So Frenchies were bred to sit on ladies' laps in France that would make lace for clothes, I guess. Mm-hmm. And because all the people had fleas and they wanted the fleas to jump on the dog and not on them while they were sewing. And so they're bred to be a companion dog to sit on your lap. And a lot of little companion dogs were bred for that reason. But he's a weird companion dog, I guess, because he is also a bulldog. Mm-hmm. And bulldogs are for fighting and baiting the bulls so that the people can like work with the animal or do whatever they're doing. So he has 2 halves, the half that wants to sit on your lap and the half that is a fighter. Yeah. And so we play a lot of games. We do have like cuddle time, so that's for the sitting on your lap part. Yeah. Anytime that you're sitting on the sofa reading or watching TV or whatever, he's allowed to come and sit on your lap. And then if you're working and things, he's not. So I have places where he can be. If, like in my office, he has a bed in the office because I don't want him sitting on my lap while I'm working. So he has a bed. And then for the fighting and things like that, we play games. So we play a lot of wrestling games and a lot of tug of war games, which a lot of the opinions, I guess, out in the world that those are bad games and make your dog aggressive. And I don't believe in that. You know, we played a lot of games with him to see what his favorite is, because dogs have preferences. Yeah. Some dogs like to fetch. Some dogs like to play hide and seek. We have played hide and seek with him before. Dogs that have a lot of olfactory kind of genetics like to play like hunting for treasure kind of games, hidden treasure games. So his just favorite ones are wrestling and tug of war and those kind of games. So that's what we play.
Chris and I took a trip to Montana, and he had a big photo shoot, and we had a Frenchie staying with us. And so, you know, up she went with us to Montana, and we let her out in this big pasture, and she stuck around. She's a great little dog, and next thing you know, we turn around, and she's moving the cows in the field. And I think Chris actually got some pictures of it, that this little Frenchie's out there taking on the big cows and really moving them and kind of sparring with him a little bit, and she just loved it. I mean, she loved that piece to it. So it's definitely in them to have that defensive side. And what are some old wives' tales that you guys have heard, Michelle, that either create aggression or will make a dog mean or make a dog want to kill things that are not true?
The biggest thing that I could think of right then was tug of war. I think I hear that almost every single time I go into a puppy consultation. Somebody says that, oh, we don't play tug of war. We don't want to play tug of war because it creates aggression. I'm trying to think of
some of the other things that I've heard is, you know, tying your dog up makes them mean. Tying your dog up doesn't make them mean, or you couldn't tether your dog and go and get coffee. You know, right. I mean, they need to learn that skill.
I have heard crate training can make dogs aggressive. It can make them like kennel aggressive.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. I can't think of anything else right now, but I'm sure there's,
Melissa?
I heard one yesterday that I thought was weird, is never look at your dog or try to make eye contact with your dog, because that's challenging them and that will lead to them being aggressive towards you.
Mm-hmm.
Or never look at another dog in the face.
Right.
And I thought that was very interesting, that the person I was with was completely avoiding eye contact with this new dog, looking away, looking in the other direction. This dog just wanted to check in, wanted to say hi, but
Yeah.
That one I think is somewhat true. I never make eye contact with a new dog until, for a few minutes. Like, I always let them fill me out, and I fill them out before I look them in the eye. Always.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not true with my dogs. Yeah. Obviously, I will look them in the eye.
Yeah.
And if they want to challenge me over, we're going to have a bigger issue.
Yeah. Yeah.
But going into somebody's house, I never look a dog in the eye ever. Do you?
Yeah.
You?
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I never.
Yeah, if I'm going into a people aggressive situation, I have to play that one out. But yeah, I do. I mean, it's something that I take on. It's a soft eye. It's not an intense stare. But yeah, I want to see where the dog is at mentally, and to me, it's right there in the eye. If they're going to give me eye contact and challenge me back, it's not. They definitely, if I'm going into an aggressive situation, they need to be on leash. I'll still give them eye contact because I want to know what their trigger is. And I typically will always make sure that I have a hat on if I'm going into an aggressive situation, because people will say that, you know, it's people in hats or it's, you know, stuff like that will trigger stuff. So I kind of go in as fairly aggressive as I can, actually.
But see, I can see where that comes from, because you are going in it in an aggressive way, so you are saying that it's not really a myth. Like, it is a challenging thing that we do. Yeah.
Can be.
Yeah, that people do, because dogs don't naturally look
Yeah,
people
but
in
you
the
should never, if it's your own dog, you should always give them eye contact.
Oh, yeah, that, of course, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But if you're being challenged, you have to assess that out and decide. I pretty much take the aggressive stance if I'm being challenged. for the most part. I've run. There's times I've run.
I feel like the aggression is more in the body language that goes with your look, though, because you can look and be, like you say, soft or passive, and to me, it's still the same amount of eye contact that is with your eyeball, but it's the rest of your body that's the aggressive stance, not your eye.
Right. Yeah. And I would bet that you do too, Michelle, and you're being softer with your body.
My body language, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not avoiding them like how you said that lady was, but I'm definitely not. I'm not standing over them. I'm not staring at them. Like, it's not like, I mean, I'm sure you're probably right. Like, if they're making eye contact with me, I probably am too, because it's a natural human thing to do. But so I'm not avoiding them, but I see where that comes from.
Yeah. Yeah, but not your own dog.
Oh, no.
Connect with them. Yeah.
For sure. That is weird.
Yeah. So if there's questions out there that you're like, well, I guess, because this is what everybody says, tie the dead chicken around your dog's neck. If there's any listeners out there that all they did to change the dog's behavior was to tie the chicken around the dog's neck, meaning the dog still had free rein and still had access to everything that they have access to, but the only thing that changed in their life was the dead chicken around their neck. And it worked. I would love to hear, and I would love to talk to them. But this is where the psychology comes from. One, if your dog has a dead chicken tied around him, do you think anybody's going to touch him? Nope. So now we're shunning them, right? And then do you think the dog's going to be let in the house? Nope. So we are even more kicking them out of the pack. And do you think that the dog is going to act the same with this big dead thing running, hanging around its neck, that it's going to be able to do the same behaviors and feel as free and feel as willing? No. So the dead chicken comes off, you get a bath, and everybody loves you again, and life goes back to what it normally was. And with the opportunity, because dogs are opportunistic, if the opportunity's there, then they're going to chase the chicken. So killing things are natural. And, one last thing that, a situation that I've been in that's people get they question it a little bit was somehow we get really attached to our dog's toys, and that the stuffing needs to stay in them. And so we sew them up and we sew arms back on, so I had one client, and she's like, it's his favorite rabbit. And I'm pretty sure it was her favorite rabbit. And I said, well, he just wants to kill it. And that's okay. If that's, if you want to if your dog wants to kill it, let him kill it. It's just a stuffed animal, and it's just stuffing. And usually what happens is once the dog is done killing and shaking and getting all the stuffing out, they pack what I call the carcass around. And the carcass hangs around for a long time because they're kind of proud of that kill. And so it's another way to let your dogs release if they kind of have that natural killing thing, is let them de-stuff it. It's just a stuffed animal. You can go to the thrift stores and get a bunch more and let them, but the carcasses tend to hang around our house for a long time. We just don't typically have stuffed toys because I don't like cleaning up the stuffing all the time, and it pops up in places that you think that you've got it all. But let them kill the stuffed animals. It's okay.
They now design toys that are made with pieces that unstuff. Yeah. Like it's like a thing that has like plushy guts in it or whatever, and they can unstuff the guts and you stuff them back in, and it doesn't ruin the toy. Because I think, go to the dollar store and buy your dog toys at the dollar store, or go to Big Lots or something. Don't go pay $20 for a stuffed thing. You know what I mean? But I think that's what the aversion is like, that's brand new. You're ruining it, and it was $20, If you buy I just go to Big Lots and I buy all the toys that are $1, and I just have a big bin in my basement, and I just replace them every 6 months. You know what I mean? And we get all these new toys, every 6 months. Woo, super party, rip them all up. Louis doesn't rip up his. But, they make, if your dog does, they make ones that have pieces, My sister buys them for her little dog Clementine all the time, like a carrot that has bunnies that come out, or a platypus that has eggs that come out, or a shark that has fish that come out. They make those if you're conscious about ruining things.
I will admit we have a stuffed toy that's 9 years old. Because we got it when Rambo was a puppy, and it's still his favorite toy. It is the most disgusting. I don't dare wash it anymore. I don't think it's been washed in 3 years. It is so gross, but it doesn't have a nose anymore. The nose has been. I think all 4 of its legs have been sewed back on. So as you were saying that, it's funny. But he doesn't try to stuff it. He does other gross things to it.
Yeah. Yep.
But no other dog touches it, and I don't know if it's because it smells so bad at this
Might
point,
be.
or if it really is rampant claims that toy. I don't know.
Is your dead chicken hanging around your neck, right? Right. Yeah. So I mean, they have it's a natural instinct, and that's what they're doing to their stuffed animals is they're killing it, and it's okay. It's okay to do that. It releases endorphins the way that it should, and it's a healthy way to do that. And it's okay to let them pack the carcass around and be proud of it, and they've killed it, and it's their find, and that stuff it's okay. It's just a stuffed animal, and we should allow our dogs to, for a lack of better words, is kill things, and 2 other situations where this cat brought a rabbit in the house, and then the dog killed it. And, and for us as dog owners and kind of, it's pretty raw, and, she was devastated that there's a dead, and he ate the whole thing. He engulfed all the way down. And, we just thought, well, good for him. He's just doing what he would naturally do, and that's normal. Two Italian, or not Italians, but 2 greyhounds off the racetrack. They came back from their walk, took their muzzles and everything off of them, and there happened to be a feral cat in the yard, and they caught it, and they were pretty devastated. And I said, well, they finally got the bunny that they've been chasing for 10 years. And so it's a natural thing, and it's how we handle it and what we need to control. We obviously should not be letting our dogs kill the neighbor's chickens or chase the sheep and all of that. But we also have to be respectful that we have an animal. They're not human beings, and that they do that. That's normal. And so if you have any questions out there, if anybody has any chicken stories, we would love get on our Instagram. We'd love to hear and see things, but don't tie a dead chicken around your dog's neck. It's not going to work.
Thank you for listening. If you want to know more about us and our services, please visit our website at www.wsk9co.com. And as always, we urge you to get out and train.